It's 7:08, and I'd like to call together the May 15th, 2025 school committee meeting. We typically start with the pledge of allegiance. Why do we do that anyways? And then I'll turn the meeting back over to you. Sure. Technically, maybe you were supposed to meeting to order. We'll do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right, so first up this evening is the school committee reorganization. So I will turn the meeting over to the superintendent, Kelly Clenchey, to facilitate the election of new school committee chair.
Sure. Thank you. Every year, this time of year after the town election, we reorganize as a school committee. First order of business this evening is to accept nominations for the position of chairperson of the school committee.
I move that Justin McCarthy be the chair of the school committee.
Can I have a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor? Roll call vote, please. Start with
Janine, go ahead.
Janine Wood, aye.
Go ahead.
Elaine Sandelman, aye.
Binal Patel, aye.
Perfect.
Sean Ahern, aye. And Justin McCarthy votes aye as well.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you very much,
Chairman
everybody.
McCarthy.
Appreciate that. We will now have election of vice chair and clerk. So I will seek a nomination for vice chair.
I nominate Binal Patel to be vice chair.
Nomination made by Elaine. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Janine. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Janine,
Janine Wood, aye.
Elaine,
Elaine Sandelman, aye.
John,
Sean Ahern, aye.
Justin votes aye. And Beano, good for it?
Binal Patel, aye.
Perfect.
All right.
That carries. Congratulations, Beano. Thank you very much. And I will now accept nominations for clerk.
I nominate Elaine Sandelman for clerk.
Nomination's been made by Janine. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Beano. Are any other nominations for clerk? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Janine,
Janine Wood, aye.
Beano,
Binal Patel, aye.
Sean,
Sean Ahern, aye.
Justin votes aye. Elaine?
Elaine Sandelman, aye.
All right, Elaine, thank you very much. You're the clerk. All right, we will now roll through our subcommittee appointments. That information is contained in our packet. Making sure that was the proper order of business. All right, so first up, I just want to acknowledge that we have had a what is it? Bradford Sampson.
Yes.
Bradford Sampson scholarship subcommittee, and that committee has had no involvement the past couple of years. So whether or not we actually have to have a person on that or not, we have had that in the past. It's not up for grabs tonight because I don't believe there's any school committee involvement on it. I think it's just appropriate to receive a motion to discontinue with the subcommittee appointment for the Bradley's. Brad, am I saying that correctly? Bradford Stan. You know what it is, Dorothy?
Bradford Stanford. Stanford.
Bradford Stanford. Subcommittee. I think it's appropriate to just dissolve that. We can always recreate it if they reach back out to us for involvement. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, I'll just ask for a nomination to dissolve that subcommittee.
I move that we dissolve the Bradford Stanford scholarship involvement on the school committee's part.
Perfect. Thank you, Elaine. Is there a second?
Seconded by Sean.
Second by Sean. Thank you very much. So just be a quick roll call vote. Elaine,
Elaine Sandelman, aye.
Beano,
Binal Patel, aye.
Janine,
Janine Wood, aye.
Sean,
Sean Ahern, aye.
and Justin votes aye as well. As we go through the rest of the subcommittees, we can keep it a rather informal process. I'm not gonna ask for a vote on every single one of them. If there's consensus, we can just go through them, especially with the roll call. It just seems a little bit laborious. The first subcommittee on the report this evening is the evaluation committee. This assignment involves the management of the superintendent's evaluation, including compilation of individual member ratings and presentation of results. Elaine, this was chaired by you last year. We just received evidence of the fine work that you did last meeting. So looking for you to stay on this one if you're okay with that.
I'm happy to do that.
Everybody else okay with that?
Thank you, Elaine.
You're
Perfect.
welcome.
All right. Municipal Building Committee, commonly referred to as PMBC. This is a town committee appointed by the selectmen to plan for and oversee construction, reuse or new of town and school buildings. This is likely going to get, it was chaired by Stacy, and Stacy also served on the Shaker Lane Building Committee. Because of the involvement, it probably makes sense if the person has the bandwidth to do both.
For sure.
So Stacy's not with us. We need to find a new person. Sean's nodding his head. You ladies can't see this, but Sean, do you have interest?
Yes, I do.
Right. Sean has expressed interest in Municipal Building Committee as well as the Shaker Lane Build Committee. Beano, Elaine, and Janine, are you okay with that?
Yep.
I think
I'm
it
fine
sounds
with-
great.
Sounds great.
Thank you for
Congratulations,
stepping up,
very
Sean.
much.
Thank you.
Do we have any
Yeah.
process to like offer backup? Because I've been interested in the Shaker Lane building project and gone to several meetings. So I want, like, can I offer to back Sean up if something happens, or do we just have one person per subcommittee? Do we have any kind of policy about that?
It's actually dictated by the MSBA, and we're only allowed one member, but you're all welcome to attend those meetings, and you just wouldn't have a vote. But the meetings are always open to everybody, and if Sean's unable to attend, it would be nice to have another school committee member there.
Definitely let you know, Janine.
Okay. I just, just kind of a stay in touch and make
Sure.
sure, like we have it covered if we need to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Be great, thank you.
Just to clarify, Janine, if you have interest, I'd love for you to attend any and all meetings. It's just by having two people there, we don't get an extra vote on the committee. So we'll have one school committee vote, and that'll be served by Sean. And if Sean's not able to do it, he can probably proxy his vote to you, or you can represent the school committee. Sound good?
Sounds perfect.
Awesome. All right, the technology committee to serve as a liaison between the school committee and the district's technology department, makes recommendations on the implementation of technology. Current assignment, committee member is Elaine. Elaine,
I'm
are
happy
you
to keep
enjoying
doing
your
that.
role on the technology committee?
Yep. Happy to do that.
I'm certainly okay with that. No objections? Hearing none. Elaine, you'll stay on as the technology committee person. Thank you very much. Next one is legislation. This assignment involves keeping up to date on pending legislation, working together with the superintendent on keeping school committees informed of legislative matters, and occasionally expressing the committee's opinion on legislative matters to our representatives. I serve as the current assignment on that. I had a quick conversation with Janine and offered her a committee in trade here. Janine, are you okay stepping up and taking this legislation one?
I'm fine with that. I have some interest in it, so that works out well.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Legislation will be handled by Janine going forward. Policies. This is noted as a full committee responsibility. All policies come before the school committee for a first reading and a second reading. However, one member or often two members are asked to take the lead and work with the superintendent's office to occasionally review and update policy. Current assignment is Beano and Janine. Both of you still interested in pursuing that?
Yes, happy to keep chugging through the policies.
Yeah,
Beano?
I'm happy to be part of that.
Janine? Elaine, are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Sean, all set?
Absolutely.
Great. All right. So that'll continue with Beano and Janine. Oath to bills and payroll. It states requires ability to stop in the central office, usually every Friday morning, to sign school department payroll as the official designee representative of the school committee. This is 95% of the time done by DocuSign these days, which is nice. I do that. Be happy to give it up. I just don't think anybody would be dying to take on a responsibility. I'll continue with it unless somebody objects. Hearing none, I'll continue with that. The liaison with the town government to serve as school committee contact with town boards. This is the one that Janine sat on, which I'm offering her in trade. Over the course of this past year, there were a number of times where the school committee had to work with other departments, and I think just by assumption, they would always just reach out to the chair anyways. So I offered to take this one and then pass the legislation one on to Janine. So as long as Sean, Beano, and Elaine don't have any concerns, I'll act as the liaison between school committee and town government.
It makes
Yeah, I
sense.
think that makes sense.
Okay. This next one is negotiations. This can at times be a heavy lift. Or not, depending upon where we are in the contract negotiation cycle, to work with the school committee's attorney and the superintendent during negotiations with collective bargaining units. Current assignment is myself and Stacy. I was thinking that I would stay on here. It sounds odd, but I enjoyed the process last time. And I was looking for Elaine to join me on that committee unless she objects.
No, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Elaine.
Mhm.
Representative to Community Services Parks and Rec Department. This is a vacancy. It was formerly filled by Stacy. This one's completely up for grabs. Does anyone have a strong tie to Park and Rec?
I could take it from my.
That'd be a good one for you, Sean.
Okay.
It's a fun time. Okay. All right, thank you very much.
We're
That'll
going
be
to be
John.
carrying a building in mind, so.
Take it easy. The next one here is Budget Subcommittee. The current assignment is myself and Janine. I am thinking that at some point I'd like to transition off of the Budget Subcommittee. Sean, I know you likely have an interest in this.
I do.
I had a conversation with Janine. She enjoyed working on the Budget Subcommittee, would like to continue. I feel that it would be a little premature for me to jump off this year.
Sure.
What I'd really like to do, I'm just planting the seed here.
Yep.
What I'd really like to do is work with Janine this year and then perhaps have you and, if that's still an interest of you and Janine, then have you and Janine run with it going forward.
That's perfect.
Janine, you good with that?
Yes, that sounds like a good plan.
Thank you very much. And Elaine and Beano, just jump in at any point in time if you have something to say. Safety and Security Committee. Stacy did a really good job with this. And so we have a vacancy. Looking for someone to chair this.
What is involved with this subcommittee? There's no description on it.
So there's, I believe, a couple meetings that take place towards the beginning of the school year.
There are probably 4 or 5 meetings a year. It's just an opportunity to touch base with police department, fire department, administrators, and resource officers, and talk about security, review our security plans or reunification plans, and also discuss any new opportunities that there may be out there for us to consider taking part in.
I'm happy to take this one.
John's voicing an opinion that he would be interested in that.
But if anyone else wants it, feel free to.
Sean, I think it's yours.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sean.
CPAC representative, Elaine, you currently serve there. Done a nice job. Would you mind
Thank you.
continuing with that?
Yep, I'm fine continuing on that.
Thank you very much. Master plan implementation. Janine, you serve as with the current assignment. Would you like to continue with that?
I'm happy staying on that. I don't know how active the master plan group is at this point, so I
It's
do
one
need
of
to
those
go look.
things where it could be quiet or you could be in for a lot of work.
Yeah.
So who, I don't know. They had the groundbreaking of 550 King Street the other day. As the master plan gets redeveloped, you could find yourself quite busy with it, but if it's of interest to you, I'd love for you to stay on.
Yeah, I've done it before.
Great. Curriculum and Instruction Committee. Elaine, you serve here. I think that's probably of great interest to you.
I'd like to stay on that.
Perfect. There are no objections. You'll stay there. And then last but not least is a Research and Data Analysis Committee, which is chaired by Beano. I think that was an addition
Yes.
out of some of the heavy lifting that we had done to analyze some changes that occurred in the last couple of years. We created the committee so we would have a place for that work to be done. I think it's nice to have. You okay continuing with that?
Yes, it has not been very active, but can definitely try to do more work around that this year. Happy to continue that.
Awesome. That rounds up the all the subcommittees in the packet. Everyone's got their assignments. If you have questions about who to contact or what to do, feel free to touch base with me. What I'd like everybody to try to do is over the course of the next year, the next election cycle, just bring something to school committee once, update us on what's taking place, or just enlighten school committee as to your involvement. All right. We'll now proceed with sort of the regularly scheduled agenda, which is consent agenda. We have our minutes from the May 1st, 2025 meeting, as well as the oath to bills and payroll. The minutes from May 1st are in your packet. Hopefully everybody had a chance to review those. Is there a motion to accept?
I move that we accept the consent agenda.
Motion made by Elaine,
I second.
seconded by Janine. This will be a roll call vote. Elaine,
Elaine Sandelman, aye.
Janine,
Janine Wood, aye.
Dino,
Vinod Patel, aye.
Sean,
Sean Aaron, aye.
and Justin votes aye as well. This is our first opportunity for interested citizens. So if there's anybody with us in the room or on Zoom that would like to speak before the school committee, this is your first chance. You'll have another chance at the close of the meeting. Hearing none, seeing none, we'll close that portion of the meeting and we will move into recognition. We have lost our student representatives. It's so sad, but I'm sure Dr. Kelly Clenchy has much to report in terms of recognition. So I'll
do my
turn the meeting
best.
over to you.
All right, thank you. Can you put the first recognition up, please, Dorothy?
Gabe,
Yeah, well,
I want to share his over there or not there.
yeah. Well, you have it in your package, so I'm just gonna continue on. At our last school committee meeting, we had a world language presentation by our curriculum coordinator, who also has a so a lot of Kelly being thrown around tonight. Green. Learning that we do in our district. Everybody is committed to meeting the needs of all of our students. But I want to just bring this to attention this evening. We offer, the state actually offers it as well, the seal of biliteracy. And these are the names of our seniors, our senior class that have attained such a high standing in fluency in those various languages. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. I mean, that's an incredible number of students considering the standards that they have to attain. And if you look closely at it, there are a number of our students that have a seal of biliteracy with distinction, which is the highest honor that one could ever attain. So I said before, you know, I've been in a number of systems in my career, and I have to tell you that this program that we have in our district is the best that I've ever seen. And I just want to restate that. The number of our students who graduate as seniors from year to year and have an incredible fluency in the language that they're taking, we can't take that for granted. That is not easy to do. And I'm just so proud of what we do in our world language programs. I'd like to commend all the staff that are involved in teaching world language, and obviously all of our students who make it something that they would like to pursue and love. So again, very, very impressive. Next acknowledgement, this isn't in the package, but our high school musical this year, Legally Blonde. We had a number of nominations. It's called the Tammy Award, put on by the Wachusett Community College. And again, this very proud moment for us as a school district, best overall production. We were nominated for and a number of roles that lead roles and secondary roles that were also nominated. So, you know, kudos to everybody involved in our drama program. Very strong program in our district. And if you haven't had an opportunity to take in one of the shows, I really highly encourage you to do so. It's very professional, and it's a real treat. Good way to spend an evening. So I'd like to thank all of the student staff who are involved in these productions and our community for supporting drama as much as they do, and fine arts as well. And on that note, before I move on to the next recognition, I think it's important that we acknowledge that our community voted all of the budgets in at our town meeting, including our educational budget. This allows us to continue to actualize our mission and also pursue our vision. So I'm very proud to be the educational leader in Littleton. They have always supported education in the over 14 years that I've been here as your superintendent. And when you look at the landscape in Massachusetts and beyond, I think it reinforces how fortunate we are as an educational system and as a community to not be enduring some of the challenges that our neighbors are at this point in time. So I'd like to thank the community and the elected officials for all the support that they give all of the departments in town. Next, on recognition, we've had a few press releases this week. Shaker Lane, Picture This Day is also in your package. Students just love this experience. And the picture was taken by our assistant principal, Mrs. Deacon. I'm impressed that she is not afraid of heights. Went up there and took a beautiful picture of all of our students representing Shaker Lane in a pattern of Shaker Lane. And if you haven't had a chance to look at the press release, it's also on School Now for the community, any community members that are watching. We also had another incredible experience last week with the Special Olympics. We were invited by the Case Collaborative, and Case Collaborative hosted Special Olympics in Maynard. And it was just an incredible experience to see our students take part in the Olympics during the day. We had a lot of police departments represented there. We were all amazed and appreciated the fact that we were escorted from Littleton to the track in Maynard. That was quite an awesome experience. I'd love to be able to do that again at some point in time. So
we're hosting next year. So
yes, so I guess we're not going to go too far next year. But what I really want to say about this is the number of students out there that were enjoying themselves, socializing with each other, and just happy all day long. It was a perfect day for it. It just is so powerful to be part of that experience. So I'd like to thank Dr. Snow for also being instrumental in making this happen. These are the kinds of things that our students will never forget. In a lifetime, they'll remember these experiences. So just so proud that our district pursues opportunities with other districts. It's really important, not only that our staff get to know each other, but it's important that our students have an opportunity to get to know each other as well. I know I've taken a lot of time, so I'm going to finish off with just some upcoming events. There we go. Upcoming event tomorrow night at Shaker Lane, their Spring Fest from 5 to 8 p.m. It's a great opportunity to connect with the community. They have a wonderful basket raffle and a number of other activities during the evening. So if you have an opportunity to come out for an hour or so, we'd all appreciate it. It's a huge event for Shaker Lane. And boy, we've been doing this for longer than I've been here, and we still get a great turnout. So Russell Street, June 6th, we'll be doing a Chalk Fest from 5 to 7 p.m. Middle school, May 16th and 18th, we have a middle school play. It's a madhouse. Spring play starts at 7 p.m. Friday night, 7 p.m. Saturday night, and I believe 2 p.m. Sunday. May 22nd, we have a science fair family night at the middle school. It begins at 6:30 p.m. High school, May 15th, the Roman banquet, 6 to 8:30 p.m. That's another great activity to attend. May 19th, our senior reception awards night with a slideshow, 6:30 p.m. May 20th, National Honor Society senior reception starts at 6:30 p.m. And the culminating activity for the year, May 30th, is our 2025 high school graduation. I can't believe I'm saying that already, but it's going to be here before we know it. And that's the end of my recognition.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing. All right, we have one multi-part presentation scheduled for this evening. I'll read it as printed in the agenda, and then I'm guessing we'll take these folks in order. Tonight's presentation is State of the Curriculum Reports, Part 3. We have 6 through 12 ELA Curriculum Coordinator David Pascucci will provide an update on grades 6 to 12 ELA curriculum, and elementary curriculum advisors Jessica Duzzi, Janet Garlisi, Amy Metcalf, Rita McKinley, and Heidi McGregor will give an update on the elementary curriculum. David, you go first?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me tonight. Again, my name is Dave Pascucci, and I'm representing the ELA department for grades 6 through 12. Should I wait for the slide?
We'll give it a minute.
Let's give it a minute.
No worries.
We really don't have these kinds of issues very often.
No, we
We hardly ever have it. An anomaly.
Not sure what's different tonight, but
About the text.
it's behaving.
Shaker Lane second floor with us, sorry. Pieces from this.
We have the information in our packet. The packet's also available online. The downside is that if anybody's catching this on delay, they'll hear the presentation without the slides. They'll have to be looking on separately. But that's the best we can offer. That's the best we can offer.
We're flexible.
Why don't we get started?
Okay, great. No worries.
We have the information in front of us.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. All right. So again, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. Great. Looks awesome. Again, I'm Dave Pascucci, representing grades 6 through 12 for the English department. I want to begin with some highlights and accomplishments for our department. And one of the first things I want to talk about is a recent grant that we received. So we received a grant from the Genocide Education grant that's tied in with humanities and history. So LHS students read When the Emperor Was Divine, enriching our curriculum with this powerful exploration of Japanese American internment during World War II. So this aligns with the DESE's indicator focusing on culturally responsive teaching. So that's something that just recently we got those books, just got them into the system. So students have read or will read that novel very soon. I'll talk about that more in a minute. Reading Renaissance. So there's various approaches to reading. Ms. McCook's again continuing a student-led book club model in addition to whole class novels, and that's increased participation and expanded independent reading by empowering students with choice in materials and discussion leadership. Student excellence. So LHS Press at the high school showcases student literary talent with professionally edited works like Anika Gosukunda's Best Young Adult Historical Fiction. And it shows some critical analysis and provides students an opportunity to publish something with professional standards. And then finally, Ms. Gresko's LMS newspaper and Ms. Tompkins book club also create vibrant literacy communities where students develop journalistic skills and cultivate reading habits through authentic publishing experiences. The next slide has a few more details about the book we recently received with some funds from the Genocide Education Grant. It's called The Emperor Was Divine, When the Emperor Was Divine, which is actually fiction. So it's historical fiction, but based on research about the Japanese internment camps. So that's something that, again, kind of works with history department, and it kind of reinforces what students are learning in their history class. So cross-curricular, and again, sort of focusing on culturally responsive teaching, diverse reading options. So this is something we were happy to integrate into our book offerings for students. Professional development. We've been working on, like many departments, we've been working on curriculum mapping, working on developing maps so that we have, we have vertical alignment between the grades. So we've worked with high school teachers and middle school teachers, working on cohesive skill progression and reducing content redundancy across the curriculum. So repetition is the positive thing when we want to repeat certain skills and certain ideas, and redundancy is when, maybe that's not the best, it's not the best strategy to do something that's maybe redundant. So we're focusing on skills and texts and when those work best depending on what grade level. So for example, we've talked about, moving a text up or down a grade level for various reasons, or when to teach a certain concept, when to reinforce a certain concept. So that's coming out of the curriculum map work we've done through professional development. LMS teachers have attended a webinar entitled Implementing Multi-Tiered System of Support, focusing on helping all students read, especially students that might be struggling. So a little bit more of a focused approach and focused approach on helping students that might struggle with reading. In particular, that middle school, that time period is very important. Students want to feel supported, and they want to identify as readers, as students that enjoy reading. That's really important during the middle school time period. That's a critical time. So that was a webinar those teachers attended. And then finally, professional development, the Littleton Air Shirley high schools, we worked together across the curriculum and worked on some AP offerings. So AP Lit teachers as well as AP Physics. So talking about not just content, but sort of best practices. So that was something that came out. Also, we're expanding, or we're looking to expand the AP offering in the English department at the high school. So we've traditionally offered usually just AP language, but if we have the demand, we'll also include AP literature. So we're looking to expand if there is student interest there. A little bit more specific, this is one highlight or one particular learning unit for 8th grade with Ms. Abbott. So the 8th grade Holocaust Victims Project. So in this project, 8th grade students engage in research and learning about individual lives of people who were victims of the Holocaust, developing historical empathy and understanding through personal stories while meeting critical research and presentation standards. And this project, it mirrors what happens at the National Holocaust Memorial and sort of getting an idea and learning about an individual's experience and sort of personalizing that history and connecting students with individual victim stories. And that learning unit culminates with Elie Wiesel's After Auschwitz, his speech on remembrance, kind of reinforcing learning about the past and how that connects to like present responsibilities that we all have. So that's a very powerful learning unit for those students. And at the 6th grade, hexagonal thinking activity, which some of my colleagues had learned and have been doing. It was new to me, so I learned about hexagonal thinking. So this is a powerful visual tool that promotes critical thinking and creative discussion. This exercise has students connect ideas in different ways. And the interesting thing about this is not just what students what their opinion is. So these hexagons could have a key word, a character's name. It's less about their opinion, it's more about making connections, but also justifying their opinion. So that's something we're really working on at different grade levels, right? The idea of having a claim, but justifying that. So why did you think that character was, the most interesting, or why did you think that character was most responsible, or why do you think, this theme was the most prominent? So not just saying this was the most prominent theme, but to sort of defend and justify your thinking. So this activity helps reinforce that. And then they did this with a couple of books at the 6th grade level, but Ms. Dracana wanted to point out that when they were doing Red Scarf Girl, this was a point of emphasis. All right, and then the next slide is about MCAS review. We spent some time throughout the year analyzing and preparing for the MCAS and sort of reflecting on how that went. So I'll just read some of the bullet points. So some of the strengths, there's been some above average performance. Students consistently outperform state averages on most of the assessment items. And there was some typical growth. So achieved 46 student growth percentile in English. And there was some significant achievement gains in some areas. So 13% increase in students meeting or exceeding expectations. So an increase from 53% to 66. There were some challenges. So some performance differences. So 32% of students only partially meeting expectations, a rate that's doubled since 2021. So that was a challenge. So there's improvement needed. Focus required on developing skills to increase the proportion of students meeting and exceeding expectations. So there's been some strategic intervention. We've worked to strengthen early academic support and tutoring in the 9th and 10th grades, particularly for students with IEPs. Some improved preparation strategies. There's been some data-driven adjustments. So the English department, we took some time earlier in the year. We took time together and we collaborated and we sat down as a department at the high school to analyze item performance. So we went through item by item, especially for word problems and open response questions. So we went down to a granular level. And so we're working on revising diagnostics, incorporating student MCAS history, and enhancing formative assessments with MCAS style exemplars. Collaborative planning is another important strategy. So providing regular planning time for content alignment and targeted MCAS prep. And finally, targeted support, monitor performance closely, implement interventions for struggling students, and strengthen special education collaboration. So those are some of the strategies we've implemented. That is my presentation for the English department. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you. We'll start with our virtual committee members. Janine or Vino or Elaine, do you have any questions for Dave or comments?
I very politely put my hand up.
Okay.
You can
that's-
choose when to call on me.
How about now? Yeah, how about
Okay.
now?
Okay.
So visually, I can't see the hands up right now, so that's a challenge for me, but
Oh, okay. It's Dorothy, I guess, that can see them. Thank you very much for your presentation, and I'm thrilled that you were able to get the book When the Emperor Was Divine to collaborate with the Social Studies Department on the genocide grant. That's really awesome. So I have a question about MTSS. The teachers went to the webinar. I know that UDL is also a priority at the middle and high schools. During that MTSS webinar, were you able to, were there any takeaways that would align with the priorities for UDL? Or if not in that specific situation, do you have any examples of how UDL is being implemented in the department?
So, I did not attend that webinar, but I did talk to, the members that did attend. And I think the connection with UDL, I think, the connection really is the idea of repetition and knowing that, you know, at the top tier, right, certain students, a certain percent, they're going to understand that first time they're reading something, that first time that a lesson is brought. So I think the connection is even with UDL, even with a great lesson strategy, I think some students are still going to need some more targeted support. So there is some overlap, and I think there is some sort of nomenclature of like, well, where does UDL begin and where does another strategy end? So I hear what you're saying on that. So I don't have anything too specific to answer that right now because I didn't attend the webinar, but I do know that I think MTSS is more when the best strategies, even a well-planned lesson that incorporates UDL for whatever reason, there are certain students that still might be struggling and they needed even more targeted support. So I think there is a connection. So UDL, I think, is really the starting point. But even when that's maybe not adequate enough, then that multi-tiered support is helpful to bolster the UDL.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to next year to really try to integrate that more. Like if UDL is, you know, universal design for learning, like the whole point is to improve access for all students. There, you know, if you use UDL strategies to identify barriers in a lesson for all kinds of learners, then it can lead to the MTSS supports. So it would be great to pursue that in PD next year so that teachers are all kind of rowing in the same direction regarding UDL and MTSS. But I'm also want to kudos for using hexagonal thinking. That is an amazing strategy that, you know, once your teachers have gained some access with that, like there's so many different ways to use that, like for unit reviews, student discourse. It's really a fun and very impactful strategy. So really glad that your teachers are using that.
Yeah, and it works at all levels. So I just learned about it recently myself. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You know?
I have a question about, not so much a question about the LMS newspaper. I didn't realize we had one. So I often hear people say in town, you know, geez, if we only had a newspaper and we could know what was going on, we'd be much more informed about all these projects and all the things we want. We'd be much more informed about all the things we want to complain about, aside from the school department. Is there any interest or is there any ability for the high school? Like I would be missing my opportunity to ask the question. Is there any opportunity for the high school to run a townwide newspaper where folks would have an interest in covering certain topics? It would be a club. It wouldn't have to go to print, I would imagine. Today's day and age, it would be available online. They certainly wouldn't need to cover everything in town, but topics that would be of interest, like 550 King Street, then what's going on with the planning board, or what's going on with finance committee, or what's going on with the schools, or cover some big sporting events. I just posed that question PU was the LEA
Yeah.
curriculum coordinator for high school, because I think that would be well received by those in town that are looking for more information. And if the students were certainly like, this is a great idea, this is like real editorial stuff, I'm gonna have readers on the other end. Most people get their information through Facebook. And obviously, there's a huge bias to who's writing that information, you know, the comment section of Facebook. The town newsletter is a wonderful addition to folks, but that's again, the committees themselves putting forward information that they want to share. It doesn't have you know, an editorial component to it where they're talking about both sides of an issue. So have we had one in the past? Is it?
Yeah, I don't think so. I can't, I can't think if we've had one in many years. So, you know, the first thing that comes to mind when you mention that is like maybe like journalism or whatever, again, like, you know, whatever that class would be, but like a journalism, like elective would like, that would make a great deal of sense, I think.
Absolutely.
I think right now, the thing is with the club, a lot of these projects are kind of a little bit labor of love and it takes a while.
Sure.
So the timeliness, I think that's the key. I think there would be an interest there. I think in particular, if there was a journalism club or a journalism class, I think that would make a great deal of sense, because right now, a lot of the things that students are writing, like I mentioned, one student, she was doing like book reviews, so it's not quite so, you know, not quite so time sensitive.
Right.
Because sometimes it's just the turnover
Sure.
to get something written, especially because these students are doing something sort of like it's extracurricular outside of the class.
Right.
Yeah. So the first thing that comes to mind is like a journalism club, which, you know, if there was interest, we could start, or like a journalism like elective.
Elective.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if we've had that in quite a while.
And I think the challenge with like a town-wide newspaper is the economics of it.
Yeah.
And we're, you know, the idea is not to take advantage of the free labor associated with high school students. But if it was, as you're saying, if it was an interest of theirs, it's a perfect match
Mm-hmm.
to say, you know, if you like the experience, what's going on in town, let's get out and cover these topics and let's get the information out there.
Yeah. And I do know students are interested in like local politics.
Mhm.
I know that, you know, so I think if it's sort of like, you know, an issue that's, you know, going on here in town, you know, whether it's political, economic or whatever, I think there is interest. Yeah, so I think the answer would probably be a club.
Well, if you ever hear interest from students, you
Yeah.
want to promote a club, I know that it would receive support
Yeah.
from the school committee,
Okay.
select board, finance committee.
And I know it's pretty easy to start a club at the high school.
Yeah.
Really, you just have to get a few people who voice some
Wanna do it.
sincere interest. So that's something I'll bring back. Yeah.
So I actually saw some of this. I don't have full context on this, but I guess the teacher Elizabeth Barry. used to
Yes.
have it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Club. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she's an English teacher at the high school. Yeah. She does great work. But again, it's sort of just, you know, extracurricular a lot of times. And so sometimes a year, students have more time than others to work on a piece and revise it.
Certainly.
But she's worked in the editing and publishing world outside of teaching and stuff. So that's great.
Yeah, just to build on Justin's question, is there a debate club at the high school?
Not to my knowledge. We have in the past had a public speaking elective in the past. So that's you know, ebbs and flows. We've had that. I think public speaking in 2025 and in the future is very important, you know, especially, you know, what do we need to do with AI and all that? I think public speaking is super important. So that's something we've had in the past. So again, there's only so many offerings that we can have, but that's we haven't had a debate you know, class. We've had public speaking, and there is a debate club, I believe, but I'm not sure. That's not something necessarily under the English department purview. So I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head about a debate.
That's all right.
But yeah, I think there might be
Coming from
one.
the,
We've had one over the years. I'm not
Yes.
sure.
yeah, I just can't remember how long ago it was. And
Yeah.
we've tried really hard at the high school. The staff has done a great job of tapping students' interests and determining electives on that basis, which I think is really important. So who knows? Maybe we have some students out there, you know, public speaking, is something, it's a skill that everybody needs in this day and age. And so if there is interest, I mean, that would be something that would be very advantageous. On the same,
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
you know, I guess to extend that conversation, I'm very proud of the experiences our students have in our classrooms, right from kindergarten to grade 12. All of our curricula are tailored to promote engagement and communication and public speaking as well. So we've come a long way in our district, in the last number of years in that area. Whenever we have students speak at an event, it's very clear that they've had that opportunity to develop those skills. But there's also other opportunities maybe if we have student interest to refine it a bit and just have a more of a condensed approach.
I know
The
a
reason
few
I was
years back-
asking is if there was a debate, or even in any of the classes, maybe both sides could be summarized as an opinion section for the town newspaper. Like that would be a really welcome contribution to get student viewpoints on both sides of an issue, which is a piece that we don't currently have in the town newsletter. So if that ever happens in any of the English classes, you can reach out to me. I do the submission for the school committee for the town newsletter, and that would be a very welcome piece to add to our contribution.
Great, thank you. Yeah, because I think anything where students are sort of getting their work published in a different setting is important. And, in my classroom, something point of emphasis has been like writing contests. That's something that we spend more time on. So, but that offer, thank you for offering that. I'll definitely keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Janine, you guys all set?
Yeah, no questions. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for
No
your time.
questions. That was
Yeah,
excellent.
very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Appreciate that. Right. Next up. Everybody come up. Is it one at a time or everybody come up together?
Up together.
Up together. All right.
It's a combo effort.
Jessica Ducey, Jana Gurley, Amy Metcalf, Rita McKinley, Heidi McGregor.
All right. All right, I'll be the first one up. My name is Jess Ducey. I'm a first grade teacher at Shaker Lane. Thank you so much for having me tonight. Thank you to Beth Steele for organizing all of this and making it go smoothly for us and helping us with the slideshow. I'm going to be, would anybody else like to introduce themselves, or would you like
We'll
to?
come up on our slide.
Yeah, okay. All right. So before I start, I'm gonna jump right into SEL because I feel like that is one of the most important things in elementary school. I'm gonna show you an elementary SEL check-in. So you're gonna pretend like you're an elementary student filling this out on an iPad. You don't really need to fill it out. This is all confidential, just like it would be with students. So I'm gonna look at the TV. So we have some big feelings in elementary school, really at any age. I'm 30, still have some big feelings. By the end of the day, our kids can be exhausted, physically expressing themselves may be difficult. So a lot of us have opted to use some technology to give students at every and any level an outlet to process and express their feelings. So I gave you all, a different sheet, but they are on the slides, and there's 4 options for the students to partake in. They don't have to do every page. They could if they wanted to, but it asks how they're feeling right now, and we have voice directions. That way, if students are struggling with reading, they can just listen to it, which is a great tool for all learners. And then they have the visual icons, the emojis, and then they can rate their day. I love when they rate their day. They can record themselves and give us an answer. I love hearing why. A lot of them are positive, but it's nice to hear when we have some issues that they can process out with us. We have what was the best part of your day, and those are like all the academic subjects, but again, they can always record. So we get some extra stories in there. And what was your least favorite part of the day? That one sometimes can be a fan favorite at the end of the day, but it's just a great space for them to feel safe and express, even if it's a small problem. And the last slide would be, is there anything else you want to share? They could draw, they could write, they could record themselves. So this is just one way in elementary school that we give kids a safe space to express their feelings in multiple different ways. And I think it's been really positive. Some people do it in the morning, some people do it in the afternoon, and some people do it both. So yeah, that's just one activity. And now we're just going to move on to SEL in general. So at Shaker Lane, we have HEART, which stands for honesty, effort, acceptance, respect, and taking responsibility. We enforce this concept at community meetings. That's when everyone comes together and we focus on maybe just the H and how we can be honest with each other. And we do a greeting or an activity and sing a song together. It's very age appropriate, very fun. Thank you, Shane, for leading those with Michelle. And that's just been a long-standing Shaker Lane tradition. We have our SEL special, which has been great for our early learners. This really helps them process emotions, identify emotions, come up with strategies on how they can deal with big feelings. There was a picture, and I think I might have moved it, sorry about that. But there, second graders play cooperative games to practice how to be good sports and handle competitiveness, because of course we know in elementary school, things can get pretty competitive. So they need to learn how to deal with those things. Something our admin have been doing lately are diversity relayouts. So I'm so grateful to Rebecca Deacon and Michelle Kane for coming up with this on their own and coming into our classrooms and reading a diverse book of the month to our students. And it's really nice because sometimes they give us a nice little break. They'll tell us to go for a walk or get some water. It's very, very kind of them to take time out of their busy day and to spend time with the kids, because I know that they got a lot on their plate. So it's nice for the kids to be able to interact with them in a positive way like that. And then we have our second step curriculum that we're still using. This is really, an opportunity for kids to, again, identify those big feelings and work on ways how to handle when things come up. Rita, do you want to come up and talk about Russell Street?
At Russell Street, we also have the STRIPE program. I'm not going to go through it, but the acronym stands for all our core values. And we have had an assembly for each one. So for instance, for take responsibility, we had an assembly and the students got an opportunity to see some videos. What would you do videos? And students played in the videos certain scenes, and then others volunteered from the assembly. What could you do in that instance to help support someone who had an argument or had lost something, or what the videos showed? All of those assemblies give students a chance to participate and just share what these different core values mean to them and how it can be acted in different spaces in our building. We also have the Chillville Calm Space at the lobby, where students can take a break, and the classroom calm corners in almost every classroom to allow people to have time to step down or have a moment to themselves for students. The second step curriculum is scheduled into our classes as well, so that there's lessons every week on the second step curriculum to give students an opportunity to play act ideas or to deal with issues and to give them strategies and supports that they can use in their daily activities.
All right, so we're going to move on from SEL to LEA grades. LEA, sorry. It's been a long day. ELA grades K through 5. So we have Foundations, which is our phonics program, phonemic awareness for Heggerty, and Geodes is now part of our Wit and Wisdom program. So Geodes we use in our small group reading sessions that aligns with Wit and Wisdom and Foundations. So it's great that it aligns with both curriculums because it really creates that fluency for the early learners. So for our, if you can see on my side of the slide, Foundations, we've been using a lot of technology in Foundations. So in addition to all the curriculum, physical pieces that we get, technology has been a great addition because it makes it more interactive. So we work on syllables, we work on fluency development, and this really helps the kids be able to develop that ease into reading. You can see the Geodes being used in a small group reading session, and they're using whisper phones, which they love to read, and it helps them hear themselves and read smoother and faster. The Geodes are super engaging, and they're not, they're brand new pretty much, so they're not outdated. They have some fun images and updated texts. Again, Foundations works on reading fluently, so it teaches kids how to not read like a robot. And we constantly do a drill sounds warm up, so they're getting that repetition. Heggerty has been awesome too. That's kind of like, it's a very, very quick little time where they're working on verbal repetition and developing those phonemic awareness skills. And the district is awesome enough to provide Lexia for the kids, which all the kids love. And this again just reinforces all of these skills that Foundations, Heggerty, and Wit and Wisdom and the Geodes are giving to us.
Okay. I'll go from there to talking about Wit and Wisdom, which is our reading and writing curriculum that this is our first year of rollout of Wit and Wisdom, K-5. And it is a knowledge building curriculum that focuses on developing critical thinking by reading rich text with deep vocabulary, engaging classroom discourse, whether partner to partner or in small group activities or in full class activities. And there's also, it's integrated reading and writing. So there's lots of opportunities to respond to the reading with writing based with tasks based on the writing tasks based on that, whether it's narrative, opinion writing, or writing non-informational pieces. Some of the things that are on this particular side, for instance, the Talk gives an opportunity for students to engage in writing discourse. So the students will have a prompt or a discussion point, and they'll be writing their responses. We call it letting the marker do the talking. And then other students will come and respond to what they've written and add their own evidence or agree and disagree, and so move on. And usually that's done in centers, so you're moving from question to question about the particular topic. I should add that with Wit and Wisdom, for each grade level, there's 4 modules, each module focused on a specific social studies or science topic. And as the students go through all the lessons, they are diving deep into those topics, reading great books, looking at art related to the topics, listening to music, and in all of those cases, discussing them, writing about them, and always providing evidence to support their thinking. One of the classroom discourse models is the Socratic seminar, in which the teacher really sets the question, but then takes a step back. And students who have spent time researching, taking notes on the particular topic are now engaged in a discourse in a circle, essentially passing the baton from one to another. So as one person speaks, others listen, they might comment, they might add on, they might have a different opinion, and they learn that valuable skill of discourse in that engaging way. We're going to actually do that here today with a little bit of volunteerism. I hope you don't mind if I have you participate in this activity. The particular Socratic seminar we're going to do is a town hall meeting. And in what we're finding ourselves on the eve of the Boston Tea Party. Can I go to the next slide, please, Dorothy? So there will be some role playing in this. And this was done in the 4th grade in their 3rd unit when it's called The Redcoats Are Coming. The essential question of that unit was the importance of looking at different perspectives from all sides for an issue. And the issue, of course, was the Revolutionary War. In this particular case, we're looking at the issue of should we or should we not dump the tea on the ships into Boston Harbor? So what I'm going to give you is the book Colonial Voices. And you'll be given a character that you'll read about, and I'll give you about a minute or so to read that character's words, and you'll be thinking about the occupation of your character and what their opinion is on whether we should dump the tea in the harbor, a good idea or a bad idea. I would also need a volunteer moderator for this, so I'm looking for someone who would like to lead the discussion, and I have a script for that, not to fear. Any volunteers? Excellent. I'm gonna hand you this now along with your gavel.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
she said that first.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'll let you read that and I'll come back to you. And in the meantime, I'm going to distribute Colonial Voices. I've tagged your role. Please turn to that and you can read that. Oh, let me see.
You know, it's nice.
I'm gonna come back here for a couple of volunteers.
Elaine and Janine, you guys got off the hook.
I know, right?
Sure did.
Double
Well,
tax.
I'm not happy about that. I was, when I realized I had to attend virtually, and that you were coming, I was like, oh no, they always have a hand-on component that I don't want to miss. And here you are. So I wish I was there.
As you finish reading, you can give our moderator your silent signal, a thumbs up to let her know you're ready, you know your viewpoint, you know what you'd like to say. And she can start our meeting.
We've gathered here today to decide the fate of the tea that sits on the ships in Boston Harbor. Governor Hutchinson has refused to send the tea back to England and has demanded payment of the tax on the tea as the king has ordered. The Sons of Liberty want to hold a tea party tonight, but do you agree? What is the fate of the tea? Raise your hand if you wish to speak and wait to be called. When I call on you, stand up, state your name and your occupation before sharing your views. Our vote at the end of the meeting will be, shall the people of Boston support the Sons of Liberty who want to dump the English tea into Boston Harbor? We will begin our town meeting now. Beth, would you like to share your views on the topic?
I would very much like to. I am the Mary Goodwin, not Beth, I've heard you call Mary during this experience. I am the milliner in the town, and it's just a small tax. I really feel like we should just pay the tax. That way my customers can sip their tea while they're shopping for the latest fashions.
Thank you for your views. Who would like to go next?
Sean, I'm the shoemaker. Although I would like to play to all audiences, to have customers across all lines, at this point, the tea tax must not be paid.
Thank you. Who would like to go next?
I'm Kelly, the tavern keeper. I have to say that having tea in the tavern is paramount in my survival in terms of keeping the business afloat. I feel that the tax proposed is reasonable and will not affect my business negatively at all.
I am the blacksmith's slave. I'm not sure that I would be speaking at a town meeting such as this, but if I were, I think I would feel like I myself don't have freedom. I am a slave, and you people talk your fancy talk about freedom and liberty. You don't want to pay your taxes. Well, you know, what about me? Just if you're not, if you're going to fight for your own freedom and liberty and relief of taxes, maybe we should do the same for all. So consider me when you're thinking about yourself.
Thank you.
I will talk. I'm the printer. My job is to keep folks informed. And I believe that it would benefit me if we do not pay the taxes. Because we will keep talking about it and it will keep being in the press. And I need that for my job.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
I am the silversmith's apprentice. We are the ones over here doing all of the hard work and don't see anything in return from those across the sea. So we will not pay because we've had no say. But we should dump that too.
Anyone else? Okay, it's time for us to vote. Shall the people of Boston support the Sons of Liberty who want to dump the English tea into the Boston Harbor? All those in favor, say yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
All those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Nay. Save the tea.
Well, the yays have the vote, the team will be dumped into Boston Harbor tonight.
Huzzah.
Stop it.
Great job.
Thank you.
Well done all. Thank you for that. We can go on to the next slide. Thank you for participating.
So, this is my slide, and now I'm gonna ask you to participate again with a little less stakes, so you don't need to read anything. So I want you to do a notice and wonder, like we do with our kids in this Wit and Wisdom curriculum. There are 3 pictures on the slides. They all have something in common. Does anyone want to let me know what they notice about that? They are all windmills. Great job, great observation. These are all windmills. So we're specifically talking about the types of lines that were drawn in all of these paintings. So there are horizontal lines and there are vertical lines that go up and down. So what I want you to do for the next minute, there is a timer on the TV, is take a look, think about what you notice, think about what you wonder, and get together and share, and then we'll call on volunteers. You have a minute. Yep.
I can call people here, sure. And I want to start talking, you know.
You can just talk across.
You're giving us a minute to think.
I'm giving you 30 seconds to think, 30 minutes to
And then we're
talk,
gonna share.
and then you're gonna share. I'm gonna call on you.
Good this. Student drawing. I was like, wow, these are pretty good. What grades? Are they student drawing?
Right, you have,
Are they, they're not
Drawings?
drawings, are they?
no, this is PA Mondrin.
Okay.
No, this would be.
I was very impressed.
Actually, you know what, it's my class. My first graders drew these.
Yeah. Fine motor skill.
Yes.
All right. Okay, the timer is up. Can I have any volunteers tell me what they notice about these paintings and the specifics of the lines drawn or a wonder they have? Miss Garlisi.
So we noticed that 2 of the paintings had more realistic color and feel to them, but the lines were a bit soft. And then the 3rd painting felt more abstract, was the word that Ms. Metcalf gave us. It was more vibrant, but the lines are sharper and more clear.
Hey, good observations. Do you have any wonders? Any noticing about the specific vertical and horizontal lines in the pictures? I can give somebody a hint if it will help. If you look at the first 2 paintings on the left, well, on the left side, they have more horizontal line drawings. You can see more of a horizon. The windmill at the top goes mostly across. There is still aspects of vertical lines in those, but more horizontal are the first two. And then I think we can all agree that the right picture has more vertical. Oh, yeah. Thank you for participating. Elaine, oh,
Yeah, I have a notice and a wonder. So I
Okay.
noticed that there are horizontal lines, there are vertical lines. My wonder is, how do horizontal and vertical lines combine to make, I might not have the word diagonal, but that's the word I'm trying to express.
that is a great wonder. I think that, sometimes I don't have an answer for that, but I think it was a great wonder. Thank you so much.
Yep, wonders don't always have answers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's
Yep.
what we do with our kids. So. Well, thank you for participating. So I think we're ready for the next slide. I think you just have to hit it again. Oh, okay, perfect. So now we're going to talk about math, grades K through 5. So K through 2 math, we're all doing HMH into math. And this, we are really working on incorporating project-based learning in our early learners, because this is how they're really going to develop a love for math and get that hands-mind connection. We create crafts that align to all of the standards. It's never just busy work, it's intentional. I love, one thing we love about the curriculum is they have math routines. So these are quick, like 2-minute math routines that pose a question that can be answered in multiple different ways. It's just to spark a conversation and, develop that creativity and critical thinking between friends. So I think that math routine, it was like a group of geometric shapes. And we had to ask the students which group of shapes don't belong and why. And there was like so many reasons. I don't think that the one on the left belongs because it has 4 different shapes combined into one. I don't think the one in the middle belongs because it has a triangle and everything else is a rectangle. So it's really pushing them to use that math language. Just like I said, we're doing project-based learning. In that picture, we have Fruit Loop necklaces up to 100 where they're using 10 frames to make a Fruit Loop necklace. So that's just adding fun to their learning. Again, we have games that completely align to standards, and we let students lead the discussion and be the teachers. Waggle has been a great technology piece in this curriculum because it has review videos, it has interactive games, and it's really fun for the kids. And it's an independent thing they can do on their own while we're working with kids in groups for assessment. So we really love it.
I'll go on from there to talk, if we still have HM math at Russell Street in grades 3 to 5 as well. And that building on number sense continues, moving on into multiplication and division, fact fluency, fractions, volume, and then strategies for multi-subject word problems is a big focus. And that whole concept of productive perseverance, being able to continue even when something is difficult to increase their learning, is a big focus. There's lots of hands-on games and manipulatives used to support the development of mathematical thinking. We also have Waggle. This year, we have Reflex, which is an online adaptive system for practicing math facts, all the basic math facts, from grade 2 all the way to grade 5. And that has been a huge help in building foundational math fact fluency for students. That has helped them tremendously in being able to then attack with more confidence the more complicated problems and word problems. We are actually going to do an activity. So if you go on to the next slide, I hope you'll participate in this activity as well. You can do this at home as well on the Zoom. This activity you can see is called a check understanding. This is something that's used by teachers to get a quick dipstick as to how students are doing on a new skill. And in this particular 5th grade unit, students were working on the order of operations. And so the teacher would be using this to get a quick assessment as to how students are their understanding, not understanding, and use that information to pull groups the next day, to reteach, or to move students forward from there. So please do number 1. That's the problem I would like you to do, but if you have additional time, you may go on to number 2 and number 3. Course, that it's a higher level thinking, and you have to not just evaluate something, but you have to explain what is wrong and what you're seeing, right? Explain his errors is the question. And I bet you found some errors. Does anyone want to take a stab at it and volunteer? Yes, please.
With PEMDAS, you would start with the parentheses instead of dividing 12 by 2. You would first add 2 to 4, add 6, and then divide the 6 into 12. Get 2.
Yes, yes. And that really, this whole problem hinges on knowing that PEMDAS, and that would be what the core structure would be on parentheses first, then exponents, et cetera, the multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, left to right. And once students have that, then that becomes a much easier problem. If they don't, then it's like a quick, okay, let's get back to like what we need to do first to tackle a problem like this. But thank you for participating. Did you agree? Okay.
My goodness.
Thanks. So.
Thank you. Okay, we go on to the next slide.
Thank you.
I'm Amy Metcalf, 4th grade teacher, and I just want to show you, you can see on the screen what content we teach in science. We use the FONT curriculum, and it's very hands-on and engaging. In your kit, you have the components that 4th grade students use to build electrical circuits. So if you're feeling adventurous and want to give it a try, see if you want to build a circuit, and if you want a little bit of an extra challenge, feel free to incorporate the switch as well. And I can, normally students would work with partners. It's a lot of problem solving and collaboration to get the to get her. And you would like bend the spring to put in the wires. So yeah, by the time our energy unit is over, students are experts at being able to work these components for sure. So. And this things are removable, so if you need to pop them out, they'll pop right back in too. So. We spend a lot of time on this energy unit, and we students are exploring the energy transfer, and in this case, they'll get to see the energy transfer from the D cell to the light bulb.
Does it not in this case? Sometimes it does matter if we're using 2D cells. The direction of the battery will make a difference, and that is a learning experience for students, but in this case. And then sometimes what happens in the classroom is if the circuit doesn't quite work, the light bulb doesn't quite light up, then we have to, it's a lot of problem solving, like is the D cell good? Is the battery, the contact points, is the light bulb good? So good. All right, good job.
Wasn't sure it was gonna happen.
It's been a little while. And then we can always differentiate by adding extra components. So adding those switches, motors, what happens if you add another light bulb to the circuit? What happens if you add another D cell? So always ways to build and extend. May I put that on the building?
Sure.
And usually the students are working in partners, so.
Seems too.
Get it, Kelly?
You're close.
Let's see which looks good. You get some problem?
Yeah.
No 12.
Okay. Got it.
Great.
We got it.
And then I'll hold this one in.
We should go. That should go. No?
Yeah, you've got all the ones.
Maybe it's the bulb is.
I know, sometimes, and that it is, that is
Have a burned out
definitely, that happens, kind of frequently than we would want to come. So that's an example of, so our science curriculum, very, very hands-on with all the activities. We're rolling, balls down ramps, exploring with collisions. So a lot, very engaging, for the students, very collaborative. I hope you had fun with that. Thank you. Thank you.
Oops, one more. What? Well, shortchange you.
Can you explain how to switch, what we're supposed to do with switch?
Yeah, the switch is the ability to control the circuit, open and close it. And then when we build, and then we build electromagnets, and that's a way
It's
also
coming back.
for us to,
Okay.
for the students to kind of control and that.
Got it.
We didn't do that. Yeah. Thank you so much. The students are really good with all the components and right, thank you for speaking.
So I'm Sharina Garlisi. I teach second grade at Shaker Lane. And you can see on the slide the different science units that all of the grades take part in with the FOSS system. And if you look closely, you'll notice some of the concepts come back a grade or two later, which is nice to kind of expand upon prior knowledge and incorporate like that next level of learning. I know in second grade, we cover landforms with pebble, sand, and silt. And then there's a landforms poster over on the Russell Street side of the slide as well. So they're getting that wraparound of, do you remember this from a few years ago? And let's take the knowledge further. One of our units is insects and plants. So I have some mealworms here for you today.
With a spoon? What are we gonna?
Well, even that's, they're pretty tasty.
Oh.
If you don't want to touch them with your fingers, you can like dig through with the spoon.
High protein.
So they arrived a little late, but we were able to take a look at the different stages in the life cycle for insects. We also have painted lady larvae in our classroom. So the mealworms themselves, when they look like worms, are the larva stage. And you'll notice there's another distinct stage of the life cycle in your pups. So if you want to kind of dig around in there, if you find one, does anyone know what that next stage is called? Or how to guess about it? It looks a little different than the worm itself. For the larva. There's also some. Sorry, what?
Pupa?
It is the pupa. Nice job, Dr. Lynchie. The second stage in the mealworm life cycle is the pupa. It's the one that looks a little bit like a mummified. It's actually really cool. Last year we saw, like happened to just catch on our science day, one of the mealworms as it was changing into the pupa. So the kids could see kind of how that formation happened. Does anyone know what these will eventually become?
Moths.
Moths.
Yeah, that's what the students guess a lot too. They are darkling beetles. So they'll turn into little beetles. Yeah, they first are brownish
What
red,
grade
and
is this
eventually they
for?
turn black. What?
What grade is this?
Second
for?
grade.
It's like, are you smarter than a second grader? That's what the kids say too. Moths.
Right, yeah, and then we also have the painted lady larva in our rooms, which will form a chrysalis as their second stage, and then, or the next stage, and then eventually turn into painted lady butterflies. So, and then along with it, I won't make you do an insect recording sheet, but there's an insect recording sheet, so, and a magnifying glass in there if you want to get a closer look. But students will observe them, they'll draw them in the little magnifying circle on the record sheet, and then write some notice and wonders about that stage of life for the mealworm, things that they see. We also project them onto the screen for kids that do not want to get up close and personal with the bugs and touch them themselves for insects. So they can see kind of changes happening. The larva will increase in size a couple of times before they form the pupa. So we've seen them like shedding a skin before on the camera as well. So it's a nice like hands-on experience for them to learn about the life cycle, and we do it along with the life cycle of plants. So they're getting information on plants and insects at the same time. That is elementary science. Okay, don't let them run around. You'll have beetles in here eventually.
We won't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very cool. Quite active underneath that magnifying glass.
Yeah, they move around quite a bit. They get very wiggly. They notice the different body parts. We're good for the next slide. Oh, wait a minute. You're next. Sorry. We're later for social studies. I'll come back.
Surprise. I didn't think it was me. All right. I'm Heidi McGregor, K-5 STEM Integration Specialist. This is a synopsis of our K-5 STEM integration projects. We have a trimester-based approach so that each trimester, every student has an opportunity to do a STEM project, either in Shakey's Imagitorium at Shaker Lane or in the think tank at Russell Street School. I did put stars on the ones that were new this year or newly updated. And when I counted them up, I was like, wow, we had 6. No wonder we were so busy this year. 6 kind of new things, which was kind of exciting. So in kindergarten, the 3 Little Pigs paper and wood exploration, that's actually not a brand new project that we do, but it was a newly, there's a new focus to it because in our new Wit and Wisdom program, the students actually read the 3 Little Pigs really in depth. And it was really noticeable when the students came to the Imagitorium. They built houses out of paper and wood, and then we dressed up our wind tunnel like the Big Bad Wolf to try to blow their houses down. And really, it's a science exploration about the properties of paper and wood. But the ELA component was really exciting this year because the students were able to recite the story from memory, and they had a lot more context around the characters, a lot more engagement. Also in grade one, I'll just kind of skip through. In grade one, another wit and wisdom connection was that the students learn about harnessing the power of the wind by reading the story of the boy who harnessed the wind. And what they did was they came down to the Shakey's Imagitorium, and I gave them golf balls. Sounds a little heavier than they really are. They're like a wiffle ball, a golf ball sized wiffle ball. And the students had to figure out a way to get them to fly in our wind tunnel, which is a tube, the fan on the end of it. So they were parachutes and butterflies and lots of really unique designs that kids made with different materials. And then in grade 4, we are updating a social studies project together. We're doing a regions road trip with our Root robots that is yet to happen this year. It's going to be at the very end of the year, where the students are going to use their knowledge of the different regions of the United States, and they're going to design road trips, and we have giant maps on the floor, and they're going to code their robots to go to points of interest in the different regions. And then in 5th grade, we had a new math project this year called the Volume Zoo, where students used their skills with Tinkercad, which is our 3D design tool that we use starting in 2nd grade, all the way through 5th grade. Every year, there's a project where they use Tinkercad. And actually the picture of that little yellow guy with the googly eyes right there, that was one of the creatures. So students had to create a creature using only rectangular prisms. And then they had to figure out the volume of their creature. And then we printed them out on the 3D printer. And as you can see, googly eyes, and there were a lot of feathers as well. And we displayed them in the library for a couple of weeks. So the entire 5th grade did that at the same time. And then just a couple of new resources we have. Littleton Electric, which I believe school committee has already seen our new VR goggles, but I'm still excited about them. We've been integrating them into so many different things, too much to list, but we're thankful to them for supporting these virtual reality and augmented reality. These goggles have multiple functions. And just recently, Kristen Hemis from our art program and I collaborated on a grant from the LEF, and we got 6 chomp saws. You should Google that because they're really neat. But there are these electric cardboard cutting tools that are safe for kids. They have like a little wire that goes up and down, and you just feed the cardboard through it. And she is teaching the students how to use them in art class, and then we're going to be able to use them for our STEM challenges as well. All right, next slide, please. And then probably the big thing that's happening right now is we happen to be right in the middle of our 4th annual district-wide pre-K to grade 12 STEM challenge. This year, our challenge is called the Can Do Arcade, and it's based on a story that came out about 12 years ago about a boy in California who built an arcade out of cardboard. And it became this internet sensation, and millions of kids around the world have made cardboard arcade games inspired by this boy, Kane. And we're doing it this year. So we've got over 1,000 students participating in this from pre-K to grade 12 during this period of time. So we started April 28th, we end May 29th. So there's a lot of cardboard happening in Littleton right now. And these 3, I don't know if we can actually play the videos, but these are just representative of this. Our pre-K students participated this year for the first time. They came to Shakey's Imagitorium. They learned how to use screws and screwdrivers, and they built their own Plinko machines for our arcade. They're pointing to the egg carton has points in it. So depending on where your marble lands, you get different points. And I will say I lost every round of Plinko that I played that day. They were very proud to do that. Our high school students are acting as mentors for this. So we have model projects that are posted by these high school students who have done just an amazing job. This is a second grader. Our second graders are building cardboard, they're pizza box pinball machines. So basically they are designing their own pinball machines. By putting the different point values on there. I can kind of narrate a little bit. They have different point values and obstacles and barriers, and then the popsicle sticks are the flippers, so that they can fling their marble through their maze, and they've been racking up some points in the 6th grade, maybe the 2nd grade. A lot of excitement. The students are using a tool called Padlet to record their work so that we can share it between schools. And this is just some examples, some 5th graders. Some 5th graders have a little bit more skills, with building, and so they have different materials that they're able to use, mostly cardboard, but they are designing scorekeeping, and there's a group of kids that are going to be using Root robots as part of their designs. But really, cardboard seems to be everybody's favorite. And there's Mr. McDonald giving it a go. Yeah, they were so excited when they came in to play. This one was a rubber band where you have to shoot a ball. So really what we're focusing on are the 4 C's, which is creativity, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking. So this whole project, the kids are set up for success and struggle, right? Like we don't tell them how to make the games. For the pinball, we give the 2nd graders some kits to start with so that they can be successful, but really it's up to them to use their own creativity, their own thinking, communicate with each other, and collaborate when they're working in groups. And I do have stickers for everybody. No activity for you, but you get a sticker.
Thank you.
And every student gets a sticker that we design each year. All right, thank you.
Awesome. Yes.
Hi, I'm back. We're going to talk about social studies next. So in each of the grades at Shaker Lane, we have different social studies curriculum that all focus around some central skills of leadership, citizenship, communities, mapping skills. We do a lot of hands-on learning for the mapping skills, our country, and some of the symbols. So I know you've all been invited to our Little Town Community Day where we build out of cardboard in 2nd grade. But we also take a field trip within our own community at the end of the year to learn about Littleton and how people in the community live, work, play, and solve problems together. So we visit the fire station, and there's a picture of the 2nd grade class at the fire station last year. We go to Castle in the Trees and talk about playing and solving problems, how the community came together to build that playground for children in town. And then we also kind of explore and experience Fig Park as another place for the community. And it's also really great because we walk along all of those places and get to see the placards on the sides of houses from being built in the 1700s and 1800s. And we kind of talk about how part of our lessons throughout the year include how communities grow and change over time. So we look at what's been in Littleton for a long time and what's new to Littleton. We also work on, as part of our mapping skills, 2nd graders are responsible for learning the 7 continents and the 5 oceans. So something we do in our classes is we have them very open-ended, hand them a piece of paper in the beginning of the year and say, draw the world. And we get some pretty interesting drawings in September of 2nd grade. I've had kids draw circles and say my house, and then circles that say water country, circles that say Acton, and just places that they know. And then by the end of the year, in the picture that's up there, when we give them a piece of paper and once again say draw the world, we get 7 continents and 5 oceans and an equator, and they're labeled, and it's really cool to see that progress throughout, and kind of tracking it through the year as they're learning and growing and kind of exploring what it means to be a citizen and what our world is like. So it's K-2 social studies.
And for Russell Street, students study things like Massachusetts state history, regions of the United States. We build off of the mapping that they've learned at Shaker Lane with things like cardinal directions, US history and government. And I have a very, very quick activity that you can just in your mind kind of order these. One of the fourth grade skills that students need to know is the date that each state is admitted to the United States. And as well as understand how our nation has grown over time. So I have 5 states, and you can just, in your mind, order them how you think the order in which they were, they joined the United States. So I have Kansas. Students make these little states, and they will put the capitals on them, and then they'll create timelines in their classroom. So I have Kansas, I have Massachusetts, I have New Mexico, and I have Alabama. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to just think. All right, first, I'm sure you all guessed was, of these states, the first to join was Massachusetts.
You got that one? Yeah.
Okay. And then the next one might surprise you. Yeah, I didn't make it too hard. So and that was in Massachusetts in 1788. Next of these states was Alabama in 1819.
My guess. Did you get that, John? I get that one.
And then Kansas, 1861.
Three.
Fourth of these states is New Mexico in 1912. And Alaska was in 1959. So,
We trust you.
so that's an example of some of the hands-on collaborative activities that our social studies curriculum provides students.
Awesome.
Here it is.
Oh.
Thank you.
Question?
Thank you.
That concludes the program.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all the wonderful information, all the hands-on exercises. We went through so much, like we would be here all night if we each asked everybody a question or wanted more feedback. Well done, great job. I'll say I thoroughly enjoyed it. We were tested at times. But we certainly saw a lot, so lots of good examples. But I don't want to, yeah, I don't want to shy away if folks want to comment or question, but Elaine?
You're muted, Elaine. Elaine, you're muted.
Elaine, we can't hear you. Elaine.
Oh, there you go, Bina.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
No, I'm just kicking myself that I wasn't able to be there on the very hands-on presentation. So thank you for bringing that anyway.
You're not getting a sticker.
Yeah, I know. So one thing I wanted to congratulate you on is that being able to do a Socratic seminar with elementary students. Like that's really a high level strategy. And I was wondering how that is scaffolded as kids get older. I mean, that's really a very independent student discourse strategy, and was curious if this is part of Wit and Wisdom, like how that is scaffolded so that kids learn how to talk with each other without the teacher leading the discussion.
Yeah, it's very hard for the teacher, really. That's the hardest part, is the teacher has to actually step back, sit down, and they give you a job as a teacher once the Socratic seminar starts. So you do have really hard work to do, which is you're taking notes while they're talking, and it's like a 16-point grid. So they keep you very busy so that you can't interfere. So that takes the teacher out of it. But to scaffold, to your point, the students have been doing a lot of research to prepare for it. They've read a number of different texts. They have done a lot of written response by this point and taken notes across multiple lessons before they ever get to the Socratic seminar. So they feel like they have knowledge and they have notes to rely on. They've already had many discussions about these topics, so nothing is a surprise from that perspective. And then in terms of just the teacher pre-teaches what it means to be a good listener, what it means, how you engage and speak to others by making eye contact, speaking at a just right volume, how to wait and then interject what you want to say. And you're actually asked not to do things like pass talking stick or anything like that. We're asked, some teachers at the very beginning of the year did use that just to scaffold a little bit. And then they got to the point. It was really kind of wonderful to see where the students learned to wait for each other and then jump in and participate. They also monitored they paid attention to who is speaking and then would encourage on their own people to participate who were quieter and not eager to just raise their hand and ask, because they knew that everyone needed to participate. That was what would make it a successful thing for the whole class, if everyone participated.
Oh, I love that. That's really high level stuff.
I just want to add a little of that from the lower elementary perspective, where I will be honest and say our first Socratic seminar was a little bit of a hot mess. However, it is scaffolded within the curriculum where we do some practicing first. And we do have talking chips to start, where they have to take a chip out of the center and put it down when they're done. And everybody kind of gets one turn as they're learning about it at the beginning of the year. And there was a little need for some teacher intervention to get the kids that chose to not participate at all to speak, which can be a little daunting when you're, 5, 6, 7 years old to speak in front of the whole class and to partake in a Socratic seminar like that. But I just did one 2 weeks ago with my class where the chips are gone. A lot of the scaffolding is pulled back. We still have some sentence frames posted up on the wall while they're speaking to say something like, I agree with Justin because, or I disagree with Kelly because, and they provide text evidence. But the last one that we just did, they had a practice in small groups, a note taker that they had made ahead of time, and then they ran it all on their own. And one of my quietest students kicked off the Socratic seminar, spoke first. It was very insightful. So even in just a year's time, there's been growth a lot amongst the second grade students to kind of figure out what this discussion format is and how to participate in it. So the program does a lot of scaffolding for you, because what your Socratic seminars are sounding like in the 4th and 5th grade are very different from ours, but it's built in throughout the curriculum.
Thanks so much for explaining that. I just love the vertical alignment, that they're learning skills at K to 2 that are taken at a higher level at 3 to 5. That's awesome. And I had one more question kind of related to that, the vertical alignment. I noticed that the topics in wit and wisdom are not really aligned with where they appear in the science and social studies curriculum, which, those skills are building in ELA, so you can't really move them around. But I don't know if anybody's had the time to provide some prompts for students about, like, say that one about the Tea Party, that's a 4th grade lesson, and they learn that in 3rd grade social studies. So do teachers know to prompt students to say, remember when you learned that in 3rd grade, now we're going to build upon it with a new activity in 4th grade, just to support students with building their prior knowledge?
Yes, I'm happy to talk to that for sure. We have, in the course of our professional development, we've had a chance to do some collaboration with grades above and below us to kind of know what the standards are that are being taught. So when my 4th graders are starting their module 3 with the Revolutionary War, we can build off of their background knowledge that they learned in 3rd grade, and we know where they're going in 5th grade to help guide them there. So we do have it really enables us to kind of, take their background knowledge and expand on it with what the curriculum calls for.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much.
As I'm looking at, yes, as I'm looking over the sheet you gave me, I'm like, I wonder how we feel about wit and wisdom. Are we happy? Are we angry? Are we tired? Like, how many stars do we get? Like, Beth, I don't know if this is a question for you. I know that when we implement a big curriculum change, oftentimes it's like one step, two steps forward. And it's a big lift, the text is rich. It's difficult sure, you're gonna have a couple high performers that are gonna, really benefit from it right away, but how do you bring everybody with you? As a district, how are we feeling about where we are with wit and wisdom right now?
All of the emotions.
All of them,
I
okay.
think it really depends right on where you are, how everything is going. We have seen really wonderful, great things, right? Like Socratic Summer, seeing that in a 5th grade classroom versus seeing in a kindergarten classroom is two very different experiences, as Shana alluded to, but both equally wonderful and insightful experiences for the students and for the teachers. And I think sometimes we always feel like we have to be the ones with the knowledge and the information, when in all reality, a lot of times our students are coming to school with a lot of information to share and teach each other. Overall, we're moving forward and we're progressing forward and we're in a good spot with implementation. Implementation science tells us it takes several years, like 4 to 7 years, to implement any curriculum. So we went through all of the emotions this year, and the year's not over, right? So continuing to go through all of the emotions this year, it was an immense lift. Huge, huge thank you to our educators. So ECC, our elementary academic advisors who are here tonight, our implementation team have done immense work. Every teacher has done immense work when it comes to wit and wisdom. What I've heard more and more recently is next year's going to be so much better. If it's been through it once. Sure. And anytime we implement anything, year one's always really hard. Year two, you've done it once, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do it better the second time because I know how to adjust and what I need to repeat or what I need to cut out in order to improve. So we're moving along with it, and I think we're in a good spot considering we're just about to finish year one.
Great, that's nice to hear. Thank you. All right. Bino or Janine, give you a chance to say anything if you like. You as well. You feel obligated? It's getting late.
My only quick question was that looks like you need a lot of cardboard, and I have some. Where do I?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for the presentation this evening. It was wonderful. Is there a second opportunity for interested citizens? Take a brief pause. Seeing none, hearing none, we'll close that portion of the meeting. For those folks that want to scoot, by all means, please do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll roll through our subcommittee reports. Everyone just received their assignments tonight, so I wouldn't think we'd have much to report. PMBC, Sean, that's a new one for you. There's a calendar. Those folks have regularly scheduled meetings. You'll find the information on the town website, but if you have any issues, let us know. Budget subcommittee, Janine and I will continue to work through that. Policy subcommittee, we've got, I don't believe you folks have anything to report tonight. I don't want to take words out of your mouth, but you guys will get back to work. And then there's an appointment here to make it official, I suppose, the Shaker Lane School Building Committee update, appoint school committee member to replace Stacy. I had alluded to the fact that, Sean, that would be a good fit for you since you're on PMBC.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the word appoint to make that we want to make this official in the minutes, since it's a school committee designee as it relates to the committee.
That would be fine.
All right. Is there any discussion on that? Sean's volunteered. I think he's a good choice. Does anybody have anything to say?
Thank you.
Hearing none, I will move that we appoint Sean Ahern as our school committee member on the Shaker Lane School Building Committee.
I second.
Great, motion's been made and seconded. We'll just do this as a roll call vote to make it official. Janine?
Janine Wood, aye.
Bino?
Vinal Patel, aye.
Elaine?
Elaine Sandelman, aye.
John?
John Ahern, aye.
Justin McCarthy votes aye as well. Thank you for that, the official. Let's see, before we adjourn, I'll just make an announcement that there's a retirement cake reception at the Littleton Middle School Cafe. May 29th, from 6 to 6:45. It's always a nice ceremony, so all school committee members are invited and encouraged to attend. And that'll take place immediately before our next school committee meeting, which is the same day, May 29, 2025, 7 p.m. at the Littleton Police Department Community Room. If there is no other new business or lingering old business before the school committee, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we
Motion made by Sean. Is there a second?
second.
Elaine, thank you. Your picture. Motion made and seconded. So it'll be a roll call vote. Elaine,
Elaine Sandelman, aye.
Janine,
Janine Wood, aye.
Beano,
Vinal Patel, aye.
John,
John Ahern, aye.
Justin McCarthy votes aye as well. We have adjourned. Thank you very much.